hello to all, and welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Single TV channel 250. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective iStores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and it's available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. Today, we are so happy to continue with our series of programs from surviving to thriving. And really, that is transforming even our surviving areas. And that's something that I want to be like clear and honest. At the end, we are learning from this too. And we are really excited about this. So if any of you have any questions and you are in the social media, please send the messages. We are going to be more than happy to answer to you. How are you, William, today?
I'm doing well. I'm working through the aftermath of doing my own energy work, which is what all of us ought to be doing is our own work all the time. So, hey.
No, and really, like, it's something like in progress, and it's incredible how many layers we found on the things. Like, I was talking today with a friend that coached me. He was my coach for a while, like for 8 months or something like that. And there were a lot of things that we were talking about, the thing that he helped me to go through. And even and then I was remembering like, oh, and 2 weeks ago I continue working on other things in the similar topic, but like of course more profound. And that's exactly at the end is part of life, like finding those little details that we are ready to work and develop and improve. So welcome again, everyone. It's great to have us with you, and we can have really. We are going to have a very good show today. This series, if we go a little bit of what we have talked about, we cover the power of self-awareness to shift from merely surviving to thriving in our lives and leadership.
Yeah. And last time specifically, we went deep on building present moment mindfulness so that we can track our internal experiences over time. And then we worked on how to spot the trends and the triggers that can unconsciously hold us back.
Exactly, and there are two things that I want to say today. Like we are going to, well, we tackle working through one of the bigger obstacles that keep leaders stuck, difficult emotions like frustration, disappointment, even boredom. And if anybody is like interested on, oh, what is the other chapters and the other thing, the other episodes, we even put here there. You can see the YouTube channel is open and has all the recordings, and also even the QR code is going to lead you directly to the YouTube channel. So you can just take a photo and move to the YouTube channel, and you can find the other ones. And if you have questions and you want to talk with us directly, like, okay, I am going through this, info@unlockclarity.com, you can reach us there, and we are more than happy to help you and find ways to improve your lives. So this is exciting.
Yes, it is. So it's important to remember that these, we'll call them tough feelings, they come up all the time. And the difference between surviving and thriving is how we process them, whether we're skilled or unskilled at, and to let them move through rather than being ignored, stuffed down, only to keep coming back. And as far as I'm concerned, the skillful way to do this is to watch children process emotions. Knock down, drag out, fight. I hate you. Blah, 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 blah. They feel it fully, and 5 minutes later, they're hugging again without an adult involved. When a child holds a grudge, an adult was involved. My therapist drill that into us. Remember that.
And really, I remember yesterday, like even, and there was an adult because it was me, but there was something that my kid, one of my kids, was like so, like frustrated with me, like he wanted to change something, and he was like misbehaving on some things, and suddenly I was like, it's okay, you can, if you want to take your decision, it's okay, completely up to you. But if that's what you want to do, I am going to step back and allow you to do it. And just by doing that, he got a little bit more angry for a while until, like, okay, he's giving me the space. And suddenly he came back and he's like, okay, we are good. Let's do continue and blah, blah. But it's exactly what you are saying. Is kids are like that. Just take the decision, start to find out, frustrate, I don't know, explode for a minute. And suddenly, yeah, my dad is right. This is the way that I have to do it. And suddenly he started to change. I was not fighting with him. He was fighting with himself and the situation. And suddenly he came back and it's okay, this is the way. Thank you. so, on today's show, we are going to guide you step by step through practices like allowing the full expression of the emotion before letting it go. That's something that we want you to feel, and that's something that we have been talking in the last days or series. Getting unstuck physically through movement or laughter and other healthy processing tools.
Yeah, because these do work wonders at transmuting what has been blocked, and they can turn them into fuel to take empowered action that's more aligned with your vision. Oh, wait, you have to have a vision first. By the end of this, you will feel lighter and have the concrete skills to navigate the emotional waves smoothly. Now, if you want some folks who can help you use those tools and practice them better, we could probably help with that.
So, and we're going to be doing different things, but today's topic is navigating through difficult emotions. And difficult emotion is really completely relative, depends on you. What is relative for you? So sometimes, like, okay, for me, being angry is not difficult because I know how to manage that, but maybe being sad is something that I can manage. And it's okay. That's the difficult emotion that you are going to go through, the sadness. So it's about what you want to do. And before we start to dive in the techniques that we thought about today, we want you to validate something very important upfront. And it's completely and absolutely human nature to experience emotions like fear, anger, or even hurt, sadness, and we can continue talking about all of this.
Yeah. And shoot, we get to experience those even when we're not having tough stretches, when we're not on the low part of the roller coaster. I mean, um, it's like with leaders boldly taking risks and criticisms, failure. If we're tired or whatever, they can hit really hard sometimes. Even during seasons of growth, it's like the uncertainty can trigger the fears. It's totally normal to get knocked down occasionally and then feel down about it. Yeah, it's just life.
Exactly. And the key here is not avoiding the pain, because that's a lot of the times what we are doing. We start to avoid the pain because it's not good to feel like this. So I need to turn off. And I remember, and I have talked about this in the past, like I even remember one boss that I had one day that I was like, okay, my this person is going through these problems, and it's like, No, remember, we don't deal with emotions. Even like a boss, you can talk about emotions as a manager. Forget about it because you can have a lot of problems if you start to talk about emotions. And like, okay. And I block myself to all the emotions. And at the end, thinking that in corporate, that is wrong. That's something that we are saying here. It's like, no, it's not wrong because it's life. It's you're human. And when you start to understand that you're human and you know how to process them, not to avoid them, it's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's very similar. Well, we've both experienced it before. I mean, we bottle up the emotions and we keep bottling them up, and then the container goes poof, and we melt down or we end up hacking things up. I mean, my case, I was taught if first you don't succeed, get a hammer, knock it to bits, and start over. And
Mm.
around the age of 15 or 16, I got tired of starting over. So I learned a different way to handle frustration. So it's like it's the thing of getting stuck in dwelling in the difficult states. That's what traps leaders, and it limits us.
Mm.
When we can fully feel the temporary emotions and let them move through, that's when the magic happens. And that's the art that we're going to explore today.
and and that's like we have to permit ourselves to have the full range of emotions arise. And I am not saying that you are in the middle of a meeting and suddenly you explode in something. That's not what we are talking here. uh, we are talking about like, okay, today, how I felt today, what happened during that meeting that I didn't like what my boss was saying or whatever. And you start to feel all the emotions and start to feel what's happening, and skillfully feel through them fully. And that's key. We need to feel fully everything that we went through instead of like start to exaggerating like, oh yeah, that's why my boss and I am not being whatever. And we start to create a lot of ideas and stories in our heads of what is really happening instead of fully feeling the emotion.
Exactly. And so then releasing requires that we first allow and breathe easy, knowing that you're truly not alone when these feelings hit. We can call them hard if we want. Some of them are, some of them aren't. And will help you learn how to handle them in a healthy way.
And what happens when there is a adversity in your workplace? Maybe there is some projects that are derailed or policies that are changed overnight from your point of view. Rather than raging or blaming, the idea is to learn to pause. And what is the reframe that you can create from that situation that is happening? Remember, something that we have been talking is this law of polarity, for example. For everything that is bad, there is something good happening at the same time by law. And that is key. It's by law. It exists even when you don't see it.
Exactly. And it's like every coin has two sides. Every rain cloud has the silver lining, so to speak. Um, it's like learning to flip feelings from victimhood into empowerment is truly an inside job. Uh, Fear can signal that I'm trading my inner compass for some kind of outward validation. And that weakness actually strengthens me to stand confidently. Uh, Learning how to be male in my local culture meant weakness was not okay.
And I love that flip too. Like, for example, with anxiety. At the end, in anxiety, it can delevitate us and eliminate even like the creativity, or can initiate purposeful full action toward resolution. Let's start to find out the resolution and how I relate to each emotion that can empower me or imprison me. And that's key. That everything has two sides of the coin.
Exactly. I mean, it's all relative. Depends on whether you like that relative, on what perspective you're going to choose. When when you get really frustrated, like if you missed targets or sales, or you have sales slumps and those kinds of things, it can be like a massive disaster. Uh, just remember, somebody might have it worse. Bigger health, family, financial crisis, and they're still going. So just breathe and realize that this will pass, regardless of how big it feels right now. Because I've been really, really good at mountain climbing molehills. I think something's really, really big, and I'll put on all of my mental, emotional climbing gear, and I'll come up against that thing, and it's no bigger than a molehill. So I step right over it, and I've over prepared.
Mm. And at the end, what we are saying, like if you go and see the economies, you're going to start to find out that crises are where the majority of the millionaires are created. And it's like how that can be possible. Yeah, you can look all the crises and the economic crisis that happened in the past. There was a lot of people that suffer. Yes, I agree with that. There's a lot of people, but at the same time there were a lot of people that became millionaires. And what is the reason? It's not that they are taking advantage of the situation. It's like they know how to transform. I am not talking about everything. Maybe there are some cases that really took the advantage, but what I am talking here is there is two sides always. So as leaders, we get to model dancing with adversity, reframing stuckness into growth. How we can do that? Inspiring people, and when we start to inspire ourselves, we are going to start to learn how to be in constant winning all the time. So the next point that we're going to be talking now is avoiding versus moving through, and that's one of the strategies that we bring today. There is a lot of time that we are avoiding, and that's the reason we are not getting moving. If we are energy, we believe that we are energy. That if we are made of atoms, we are energy. It doesn't matter if we like it or not, or it's at the end, an atom needs energy to be moved. So at the end, we are energy. That's what we are. So emotions in motion can be pictured like ocean waves. And I love some saying that I had maybe a couple of days ago. There was a person that until we realize that because we are the wave a lot of the times, but we realize that we are the ocean that is moving those waves and not only the wave, that everything is going to start to change. And it's like that's part of the emotions. It's like understanding that we are not only the wave, but we are also the ocean that is bringing the wave and moving the wave. And when you understand that power that you have inside, everything starts to flow.
Yeah, that's a nice one. So it's like I was saying before, in the long run and the long term, suppressing the vulnerable things, it causes them to accumulate, and we push them down and they build pressure. And if we choose to have a smiling or a frowning facade, at some point, those things are going to explode. That pressure vessel that we're putting them in will go poof. Even pressure cookers explode from time to time. And so, the other option is to implode. You don't have to explode, you implode. And I think that's called a nervous breakdown. Yeah.
Or burnout.
Yeah. And in the past, I have perfected unsustainable spiritual bypass. I've burned myself out 4 or 5 times, pushing toward a goal that is now happening organically without my trying. This was over 10 years kind of thing, more. And so once I just gave up and surrendered to the flow of things, stuff started happening on its own. It's amazing.
And really coming again with what we are saying right now, when we understand what we are talking here, I have kids, and when I start to, I when I didn't understand this with the kids, I was suppressing their emotions. That's what I was doing. It's like, okay, I'm sorry, but I am tired that you are screaming, or like something like these tantrums and these things that happen when they are little. It's like, I don't like them. And it's like, okay, what are you looking in your side, and what was happening inside of me that I couldn't afford to listen to those tantrums, for example. So at the end, we are talking about welcoming the full unfolding of upset feelings. What is the narrative that I have? I am not talking about if the tantrum is affecting me. I need to understand what is happening with me, not what is happening with my kid. My kid is fully releasing any emotion that he is going through, but myself, what is happening inside of me, why that is activating me, why that is transforming me, what is happening inside. So we glean their wise messages about boundaries, needing to reset, drowning, maybe even. The idea is to avoid victimhood. I am not going to feel victim of this emotion, but understand. Okay, take a moment, close your eyes and breathe. Okay, let's feel it. And it's like, okay, what is my emotion telling me right now? Oh, I don't like tantrums. Okay, and I start to feel it. And what is happening with that situation? What comes to my mind? What is the thing that I want to put instead? And that can help a lot with this.
Absolutely. So let's give some examples. So let's just talk about a hypothetical guy named James. Startup began rapidly taking off, sales grew, hired new people, um, increased expectations and word load started triggering his anxiety. Imagine that. I mean, we start a job or a new business for freedom, and if we're employees trying to start a business, we quickly become the employee of the business. And so then, rather than tuning into the signals of stress and pacing himself, poor James began drinking excessively at networking events just to numb out. He'd yell at his team to vent the overwhelm, and he stopped sharing openly with his colleagues. So the avoidance only increased the anxiety, and it started choking him. Soon, he isolated himself further to escape confronting the issues head on. We know a couple folks like that, don't we, Alejandro? So then, as expected, James's health and relationships steadily eroded, even though there were surface level gains. And this definitely creates threats to the company's stability. And then, as expected, everything collapsed. Oops.
And let's continue with these examples, because really at the end, I know that the power is understanding these examples and start to understand like, oh, what William is talking about, James, is something that is happening to me right now. And it's okay. That's exactly what we want. So you can start to relate and start to understand. So another example, like another client that we had, like talking about, we are going to say Nina, the founder of a tech company. And what happened is it was on a startup, and suddenly all her calendar and to-do list started to overflow. That happens always in any startup because you want to grow and you are in this rapid movement of wanting to grow. And what happened with Nina is suddenly she started to feel a lot of anxiety. She was irritable, like it's like I am stressed. Like her language, her body language, everything was showing the stress. And rather than detaching from all the overfunctioning or substances, she started to ask herself, like, okay, what are these signals telling me? What is my body telling me? Why I am reacting so much to all of this? And that requires a lot of consciousness. Like, okay, I am breathing. Like I can see myself that I am not being myself the way I am reacting to this situation, even when I can change it at this moment. But taking this moment of realization and even maybe journaling or what we have talked in the past, after reviewing the exhaustion, like she realized that the answer was pausing. She needed to restore like all the reserves that she depleted and start to change her mindset because at the end when you are in that space, you are in scarcity, and that is exactly what is happening. You are not really in abundance, finding what is coming or what is. So she took a break, and this is a bold decision because, and that's what we want to say here is take a break. It's bold when you are creating your your company, your startup, and it's like, no, I don't have time because I have all my money there, and I have like, and you start to have a lot of questions. That's why we are talking about a bold decision to take care of herself and start to understand what is happening, even communicate better to the stakeholders, to the investors, to the team, to start to be like really some to create a model that is sustainable, where they are not burning out, not herself, not the people that is working with her, and gathering this strength through downtime and support. Nina returned energized and strategy, and she created a strategy to reprioritize everything. And that is happening, for example, to another friend of us this week exactly. And I was coaching him in that situation. It was like, okay, what is happening here? Suddenly you are at the hospital and something is going bad is going to happen if you continue doing this. And he was like, now I get it, Alejandro. Finally, I get it. It's like I need to take decisions on my life. I need to change the way I am doing it. I am killing myself. That's breathing the situation, understanding, and taking bold decisions.
Yep. So then, give some specific examples for different positions, like a director that's making decisions. Let's go with avoiding and then moving through. So CEO constantly puts off having direct conversations with underperforming senior leaders. So instead, this CEO drops vague critical hints in meetings or ignoring the problems altogether, hoping they'll resolve themselves independently, like that ever happens. So this causes anxiety, it produces inadequate strategy and clarity across the entire organization. I wonder how many organizations we've seen that from. So then, an example of moving through, um, this marketing director leans into the discomfort and delivers clear and constructive feedback to the struggling department heads. So, being courageous and compassionate in addressing the problems early the overall alignment in the workplace culture, it improves. Imagine that.
Let's go to another example, employee not understanding what is happening. So maybe, and this is an example of a long-time staff member that feel confused about some changes in the policies. And while they say nothing, they stay quiet. They start to build like resentment and resistance toward leadership because of that situation that he didn't understand. And it's like, again, if you don't understand it, you don't feel understood. This is a blockage that starts to happen in you, and suddenly you start to gossip and a lot of things. Moving through, this employee scheduled a meeting with their manager to explain, okay, what is happening. Okay, this situation happened. It feels unclear. I don't understand. It's overwhelming. Whatever is happening with that situation. So this person can start to find the alignment. And sometimes I know this has happened a lot. Like sometimes even the manager doesn't know, and allowing the option of even having the, okay, if you don't have the answer, manager, please go to the next level and ask them, because this can create a big issue. So I just want to know, and that can move forward everything that we are feeling, and not create imagination in our head of a disaster or something else.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about parents not really understanding their children. I mean, so the father buries himself in work to escape feeling inadequate when he doesn't relate to his teenage children, or their interests, their perspectives, just simply hoping that the family connections improve. Yeah, like that happens. So then,
Time will fix everything.
yeah, time wounds all heals. I mean, heals all wounds. Yeah. Um, so then, moving through. So this particular father makes a concerted effort to discuss his emotions with his family and seek advice on bridging the generational divides, because this cultivates the mutual understanding, because we have to remember each generation speaks its own language. Even within a generation, different pieces of that generation speak their own languages. And so some people are designed to learn languages and other people aren't. So, hey.
Let's go to the next one, relationships. Maybe a partnership, a couple. And this works in both sides. It can be a male or female, but let's think about a partner that is suffering silently because of loneliness for years, as their other partner has been traveling and traveling, and keeps that they are not really connected. And that is what's happening. And when you worry about this person is worrying about speaking up, because that can jeopardize the career of your partner. At the end, you are creating like a ball of fire that one day you explode and nothing works anymore. And the reason is like you didn't took the decision, and it's creating even you can be sick, stressed, like a lot of things that can happen. In the moving through, the idea is being vulnerable and share openly, so both partners can be the solution of the problem that you are finding right now. You start to feel like, okay, I am not being seen, I don't feel seen, or whatever that is happening in that relationship. But I am not saying that it's your fault, but coming from the side of love, like, look, this is how I feel, this is what is happening in this situation. And that can create a lot of this happened to me also, like what we are talking here is something that happened to me, not because of a travel, but I created a lot of stories in my head of why I didn't want to talk with my wife about the situation that she was going through. And because of those imaginations that were so big, I was like, okay, that can create a lot of problems. And suddenly, what happened with my kids and what happened with everything, and I was avoiding the conversation. Moving through is like, okay, be vulnerable. I don't need to be like, I am going to tell you what to do. I am not coming in that space. I am coming of what is happening. And this situation that you are telling me is creating this in me. I am not saying that you are creating it, but I have a program that is creating this. So, oh, how I can help you. And the conversation was amazing when I had that conversation. So that's why moving through is key.
Yeah, definitely. So we we remember that we're constantly helping others and ourselves to unpack the old assumptions and cause new that cause new entrepreneurial anxiety. Working with the clients, we unearth and release thought patterns of scarcity and perfectionism. Once that happens, it seems like suddenly clarity emerges on inspired actions. The energy that we previously spent doubling down actually propels our creativity forward. It's amazing. So then, when we connect with trauma as healers, we also assist in discovering where the stored trauma blocks are for receiving financially and in all the other ways. The sessions open up a space for abundance consciousness to flow. And we got to remember that in any transitional season, if we seek support and the understanding that flows from it, when we struggle to, as we struggle to perceive from the inside, because healing is an inside job. And so remember that mentors shine light and they guide us smoothly out of those places where we get stuck because they have a bigger vision. They're not right up against the wall painting their little spot of life. And so um, you can't grab water. You have to flow with it. And guides make this easier.
So when we are going to start to talk about one of the techniques that we brought for today, one is dropping anchor. That is the name of this one. And when emotions start to feel overwhelming, grounding helps regain balance. And grounding is something that we have talked in the past, and we're going to do it a little bit today. Something quick, not something. But the idea is that grounding can help you to not be flying with your thoughts and, and all the ideas that can come from thinking that this situation is so big. So this means focusing on physical sensations that anchor us firmly in the present moment. And that this is key, present moment. When you are in the present moment, there is no problems. When you are in the past or in the future, there is a lot of problems.
Yeah. And overwhelm happens. I walk around and overwhelm a lot. And so then I get swept up in not just fearful stories, but all kinds of stories about some emotion that I'm going through. And when I remember to ground, it shifts my focus to my body. It interrupts my mind's obsessive narratives. I don't get stuck on a hamster wheel running incessantly.
So let's practice together. And if you are in a place that you are maybe in your sofa, you are not driving. If you are driving, don't do it. But if you are in a place that you can close your eyes, I'm going to ask you to do it now. Uh, Start to feel everything that is happening around you. And maybe that chair where you are sitting or that bed where you are uh, laying, and in that place of like freedom, just start to breathe slowly as you can with your nose, and in every inhalation start to feel how connected you are with the now, with the present moment. And every time that you exhale slowly, you can feel how all the anxiety, all the fears start to go away. And do those breathing very slow, calm, and start to feel your feet touching maybe the floor, your carpet, your floor, anything that you have there. Feel the chair, feel, start to even hear what is happening around. And it's okay. I can hear my kids, but you are now here. You are not in another place. You are here now. Sense your arms, your hands, your torso, and start to feel how everything is connected to the earth, to the center of the earth. Breathe slowly and keep your attention here and now. And maybe if you are going through an anxiety, maybe an emotion that is moving you from the present moment, or even your mind bringing you ideas of other things, don't fight with them. Just acknowledge them and continue breathing. And it's okay. That thought that maybe doesn't make any sense, but you forgot about this, you forgot about the other thing, and you need to do this, and you need to do the other thing, just let it go. Breathe peace and let go anxiety. Breathe joy and let go fear. This is creating resilience and start to handle these intense energies by returning to a supportive ground where you are here and now. You are not in another place. You are not in the imagination of your mind, but you are in the now. And here is where the solution comes. And if you don't have a solution, don't worry. Just breathe. Continue breathing and connecting with your breathing. And when you are ready, you can open your eyes.
Because the important thing to remember is that emotions become welcome messengers rather than overwhelming or knocking your grounding loose.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, beyond grounding to stabilize intensity, we can practice another things like allowing emotion space to unfold without judging. And that was something that we were doing in the meditation now. Like, okay, I am not going to judge, even if I have. That's one of the things that happened to me at the beginning when I started to meditate. It was like my head was thinking about the million things that I have in my head. And if I fight them, I resist them, I am putting my attention in the resistance, not in the now. So the idea is to breathe. Okay, I have that. That's fine. Thank you, mind, for telling me that. I am in the now here. So I am breathing and I am feeling everything. I am feeling the feelings. I am feeling my chair. I am feeling the. And you continue breathing. And suddenly, yeah, no, but remember, you forgot that you needed to feed your kid. Yeah, okay, I am going to do it in a minute. Right now, I am here now. And there is something that is happening and it's going to transform everything.
Yeah. And it's in those moments that we become the observer watching ourselves. When I heard people talk about that, I thought they were nuts. I've got another term, but I won't cuss here. And I thought they were crazy when it's like me watching myself. What do you mean? And it seems to have become just part of what happens when I practice this regularly. And so instead of suppressing, if we explore the texture of the emotion with curious detachment, which is where the non-judgment comes from, we just stay neutral. We just let them be. It's possible that sadness could feel like cool raindrops that are pooling somewhere, or anger feels like a fiery crackling fire. What does each sensation that you want to understand about your needs? Just allow the messages to come up.
So the idea with this second part is visualization. That is something that can help a lot in order to release. You can envision maybe emotions as clouds and how they are passing. And at the end, every cloud is not going to stay in the same place forever, even when you feel like that. It doesn't matter the size of the storm is going to finish. So identify each sensation core message as you breathe, and you are breathing out tensions. And that's what we were doing in the meditation now. Like, okay, I am breathing peace, and I am letting out this emotion that I don't want. And maybe you can, if you start to feel like an emotion of sadness, okay, I have sadness. I recognize that. And suddenly in this visualization, I have this cloud that is sadness in front of me. And I breathe in peace or joy. And I breathe out this sadness. And I start to see how this cloud starts to move. This anger shows my passion for justice. Okay, this longing reflects a core need for connection. I need a connection. So what is happening? And you can start to find out a way to reframe anything that is happening.
Exactly. And if you think in terms of breathing and exhaling as helping those clouds to move along, then you can potentially help the skies clear faster. Just don't push the process. It's like relief comes not because you are banishing the storms. Try and go out and fight against the wind. That'll work. It's more allowing that necessary rainfall to nourish the correct action. Pain gets, emotional. Physical pain. I've gone through that a lot, but pain gets transformed by watching its purpose without exaggeration. And what shifts for you simply by allowing and consciously releasing the emotions. It's kind of watch that.
So we're going to move to the last part. So we are almost at the end of the program. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. And remember, if you have any questions, you can write in any of the social media that we have. We also have this email that is below William right now, info@unlockclarity.com. And also above him, there is a QR code that you can take a photo, and you can go to the YouTube channel where you can look this program again, or go to the previous programs that we have about this, from surviving to thriving. In the action steps, the idea is how, when we are feeling stuck, what we can do. So it's okay. Everybody has emotions, and we all get hooked in painful emotions when something bad or is happening. I remember that even William was talking in his program on Sunday Spirit Talks. He was talking about some emotion that he was going through last Sunday, and it's okay. He's like, okay, today I am feeling not as good, and it's okay. And I am being here talking about how I am feeling. That's at the end, it's life, and it's okay to feel like that. And I start to understand why is this, why I am feeling like this.
Exactly. We can prevent the temporary intensity from becoming identity distorting and suffering through. But we can also have the conscious allowance, the physical release, the truthful expression, and the edited mindset programming. Um, we just want to
So
notice. Yeah.
and the key idea is noticing what is the inner dialogue telling us. If it's going like very down deep in the problem and it's not really a solution, okay, maybe you are exaggerating something. That's where these distortions are happening. And the idea is doing these two exercises that we gave you today, that it's like consciously being in the present in the moment, grounded, suddenly you can start to see the things more clearly and start to eliminate these mental scripts or even change them through all the emotional triggers that you have. And the idea at the end is shift from the victim mentality to a more constructive perspective.
Exactly. And so, another example, like we come up against life and we're like, everything is completely falling apart. I just can't catch a break.
Hmm.
I'm sure that we've all used something like this. So, what if we changed it? What if we switched it to this is a temporary setback, a difficult season? I have overcome or come through these challenges before, and I will again by taking the the next right step. Thoughtful actions.
And we are here to support. And that's at the end, that's why we have this program here. Any difficult situation like stress, burnout, sadness, anger, name it, and you are going to start to find out. Are here to help you. The first action step that we are going to give you today is notice the emotion trigger that you have. Pay attention to any situation that you have right now that is triggering those difficult emotions like stress, sadness, anger. Name that without judging. It's okay. You have that, and it's okay.
Yeah. And number two, ask why that particular emotion came up. Get curious about the root causes that are underlying these emotions. They can give you clues for resolution instead of avoiding, suppressing, and overreacting to them.
The step three is something that we didn't talk during the program today, but it's simple and it's moving physically. When you have an emotion that it's like very intense, maybe even at work, in a place or in a meeting, just taking like, okay, I'm going to go out and look for a coffee, and you walk and you start to move yourself to start to like, okay, release it, and you can be even thinking about this, like I don't have to be closing my eyes going there, but I can be breathing and releasing. Uh, and the idea here and the important thing is when you are like breathing like this, like too fast, that is activating the survival mode, and your whole body is connecting to the survival mode. That's why we are talking about breathing deeply, like slowly, and I live. That's where your body doesn't understand. If you're breathing like this, like so fast, it's like you have the lion behind you, and your body thinks like the lion is there, even when the lion is your boss or maybe your colleague or I don't know, the stakeholder. But breathing like that is activating a survival mode inside of you. And the idea is that you start to move physically, feeling the feelings, but breathing deeply to release.
Absolutely. Number 4, share instead of isolating. Confide in trusted friends or community members. And if you don't have any, well, try to find some. That can be a challenge too sometimes. I mean, but when you're overwhelmed, find some trusted friends instead of living alone, quietly frustrated. It's, feelings gain their proper proportions when you talk about them, when you get them out. I mean, if you truly feel like you don't have anyone to talk to, write them down. And then if you need to, burn if you don't trust anybody in your world, which hopefully you can trust those folks. But it's like, don't
Or
bottle them.
trust us. At the end, we
Yeah.
are here for you. That's
Yeah.
at the end what we are doing this to know that there is people like us that we really want to help you. Action step 5, rewrite the stories to feeling your pain. So identify, that's what William was saying, start to write out, like identify any exaggeration, maybe a victimhood narrative, something that you are saying that is making you feel worse than you need. And it can be a mantra that you can create or something positive to transform that story that is fueling your pain. So this is the end of the program. Thank you, William. Thank you all for being here with us. We really enjoy, and we know that this is going to have a lot of things and moving these type of emotions that are going to be interesting. So if you have any questions or comments and you want us to expand in any area for next week, just let us know. Send a message. There is an email here, and there is also our YouTube channel, so where you can continue asking or sending messages. Thank you, everyone. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for the news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thank you all. See you next week. Bye.